now is Lisa Rubin, MSNBC legal correspondent. She's also the host of MSNBC's Can They Do That on YouTube? Question of the era. What are we to make of Todd Blanche taking this move to try to meet with Maxwell in the coming days?
It's bizarre, Antonia. Bizarre, because when he said in his tweet this morning announcing that he had made the offer, no administration has ever done something like that, that's because it would be highly, highly unusual, and it is, for any political appointee to go visit a convicted felon, much less a felon convicted by your principal's Justice Department. Ghislaine Maxwell was indicted by Trump's Justice Department. She was convicted while President Biden was still president. But nonetheless, these were investigations started on President Trump's watch during his first term. So the fact that Todd Blanche is saying now no administration has ever done this, that's because it is untoward and bizarre for the political leadership of the Department of Justice to visit with any convicted felon in a case that they otherwise supported. And as recently as last week, this Department of Justice submitted a brief to the Supreme Court in which they defended the conviction and said that it needed to stand. That's a brief submitted by John Sauer, the Solicitor General, who was also a former lawyer in a personal capacity to President Trump, just like Todd Blanche. So now watching them sort of undercut that move seems really strange to me.
The other question I've had about all of this is, well, if we are seeking more information, why set up this high-profile meeting with Maxwell? Why are they not reaching back out to survivors and victims? Is that not an option that these same people have to talk to people who might be able to point them to other Johns, people that should be on their radar if they were not already?
Well, first of all, let's ask a different question, which is, why are they not going back to the well of unsealed materials from civil litigations? And there are multiple civil cases that have been filed in which various people, including Maxwell and Epstein themselves, were deposed. Much of that material has been unsealed with appropriate redactions. If people want to know more about theoretical Johns, as you put it, lots of that information is public for the taking with anyone with a computer or a phone and a PACER password or the ability to find public court filings. That's there. I'm not sure why they would have to reach out to victims. But talking about victims, I'm so glad that you asked me that question, because the Department of Justice is obliged to reach out to victims when they take a move like one other that they did today. When they asked last week, or I'm sorry, maybe it's been yesterday, this is all moving so fast, to unseal grand jury testimony, that is the sort of maneuver that's supposed to trigger rights for victims under something called the Crime Victims' Rights Act. And the Department of Justice is supposed to take their best efforts to notify all known victims of any court proceeding that involves the crime. That is effectively what a motion to unseal grand jury testimony is. And nonetheless, you've got two court orders tonight from Judge Engelmeyer, who's overseeing the Maxwell case, from Judge Berman, who oversees the Epstein case, both of them saying the government may not have contacted victims. And if victims want an opportunity to speak here about the release of grand jury testimony, we welcome your submissions until August 5th. But it still sounds to me like the government has some work to do in reaching back out to those victims, notifying them that they have this right that's now embodied in the court order.
It has been strange, and we've talked about this a bit, just the extent to which it's felt like victims are sort of secondary to the story that's unfolded over the last 2 weeks. But Lisa, I also want to ask you about this new